Step into a world where ancient wisdom meets modern mysticism. Introducing the Gnostic Tarot, a powerful fusion of esoteric art and Gnostic themes designed for those who seek the ultimate Gnosis. This mesmerizing deck, rich in symbolism, draws from the profound teachings of Gnosticism, serving as an ideal companion for meditation, reflection, and the exploration of spiritual realms. Whether you are a seasoned tarot enthusiast or new to the practice, the Gnostic Tarot caters to all, offering a portal to ancient wisdom and a tool for uncovering the hidden truths in your mystical journey. Unveil the mysteries, embrace the wisdom. The Gnostic Tarot is a timeless companion for your spiritual odyssey. Take a journey with Gnostic luminaries and learn their stories in a visually stunning manner. From Sophia to the Gnostic Christ, their journey is your self-discovery. Choose from the basic deck or the deluxe version, which includes a beautifully crafted journey book and a magnetic storage box, ensuring that your Gnostic Tarot remains a treasured companion on your spiritual quest. The Gnostic Tarot is an original and collaborative effort between Miguel Conner of Aeon Byte Gnostic Radio and Matthew Schmitz of Altrusian Grace Media. Visit our website to embark on your journey today. Syncrasis Publishing, where ancient wisdom and modern mysticism converge. Birdie Num Num. I said it wrong the first time. I'm saying it right now. Welcome, everybody, to Aeon Byte on this Tuesday. I guess there was some primary in New Hampshire as we continue our sham election in this hypocrisy. And I'm so happy I'm no longer involved in these things and I can do better things. So welcome, everybody, regardless of where you are in your life, your existence, your madness. My name is Miguel Conner, and I am your Pompatus of Gnosis, and I hope everybody is doing all right. And tonight, I'm very excited to have somebody who, well, it's been too long since she has graced the show, and I've always admired her work, and that is Martina Markota. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. That's really nice of you to say. I'm really excited to be back as well.
Yes, always good to have Lady Alchemy with us and discuss a lot of heresies. And with us, too, we've got the Moondog Vance. Vance, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. I forgot to bring my alchemistry set tonight, but I think I'll just sing along.
Your background was I think my banner like over 10 years ago on Facebook.
Oh, yeah?
Just was looking at it and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember having that. Cool.
Keep gravitating to this one for some reason. It's a good background. Thanks.
Cool. Well, everybody, good to see everybody already in the chat. I see Dominique Valet, Elliot James, and the other usual heretics. As always, if you have questions, please super chat them so we can separate them. Any questions to Martina about alchemy, occult art, or even regular traditional art? I miss her art presentations on YouTube because they were always very educational and you learn so much about the rich art of medieval times and Renaissance and all that cool stuff.
Art history is really fascinating, actually. Yeah.
For sure.
It has far more history to it than people realize.
Yeah, yes, there's a lot going on with anything. I mean, if there's a problem we have with our society is nobody has a concept of history, art history, political history. I mean, it just opens your mind and your imagination. I think everybody on the internet thinks history started in 2016. Sometimes I think, don't you?
I know. I mean, to me, that was definitely a shift that happened for me. But maybe that's something we can talk about too. But remember when the whole 2012 Mayan calendar thing, I think that was a shift where we started to turn into something weird was happening with the society. That's what I think. Well, it's what the end of an age is what they talked about it, right? So it wasn't the end of the world, the doomsday thing, but it's the end of an age. And I think we definitely hit another age. And I don't know if it was good. When I had that banner up as my background, I was all like, yeah, man, the collective consciousness, we're all gonna like evolve. And since then I'm just like, shit, I don't think it was for good.
No, it's almost like most will devolve. Yeah, the changing of an era, as some have said, 2012, we think, oh, it just happens and the next day everything's fine. These things take time, and the shift and the tension. I think a lot more souls are destroyed and minds melted than actually the good thing that we think will happen. So it's an age of tension for sure.
Mm.
Sometimes I think it's because it's an age of revealing or revelation, that we're seeing the dark underbelly that's been there all along, but we couldn't see before. The shadow side.
Lots of shadows. But anyway, yes, please super chat if you have any questions, and Vance will make sure that there is no Wetiko in the chat to turn it into the Chetiko. Other than that, not much that I can think of for housekeeping, so we'll get into the main event. Well, Martina, how have you been since our last show, or how have you been in the last years, or what revelations do you have for us?
Oh, geez. Okay, so first of all, I just want to address that I have a young baby under 1, and so I have what's called mommy brain, and I'm just such a space cadet. I'm really having a hard time thinking. I'm probably going to be thinking, geez, I hope my husband's all right with the baby over there, and he's not freaking out because he's teething, and it's like he's unbearable. And I didn't get any sleep last night. He woke up in the middle for an hour, and I'm just like, oh, like I'm just so over it right now. So please excuse me. I may kind of space out a little bit, and I don't feel as brushed up on the content that as I used to be when I was doing Lady Alchemy full time. It was like so amazing to be able to use alchemy and the Gnostic texts and the esoteric beliefs as a catalyst for inspiration, because it was very synergistic. It kind of feeds it. So it's like, I don't know, working on the tarot cards. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. I have to work on some tarot cards myself for my project. I owe people tarot cards.
Oh, really?
I'm thinking a lot about it. So it's interesting. When I saw your intro, I was like, oh my God, cool. Because I'm working on my own Lady Alchemy tarot set that I've been having to kind of ruminate about. But like I said, I'm sure that you can understand when you kind of have to do this creative work, then you kind of dig deeper into your studies. And then you dig deeper into your studies kind of fulfills you spiritually, and you learn a little more, and then it creates more inspiration for your creative work. It's so cyclical, and it's really exciting. And I feel like I've been out of that a bit. So I wish that I was more prepared. But the whole baby brain thing, but that's why it's exciting to talk to. I think last time we spoke was 2020. I think before things started to get weird? It was around.
No, it was during. It was that summer of weirdness, I think. So yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. So I can't believe that was like 4 years ago. It feels like yesterday to me.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. So I guess a lot's been happening. Had a baby and all that. So that's exciting. I'm back in New York City, which is exciting, and I'm slowly trying to figure out how to like get back into the work. That's what's going on.
Awesome. Yeah, excited about your tarot thing. Yeah, with me and my collaborators, my wife and Matt from Altruism Grace Media. It was really a series of a friend had an idea, and then all these synchronicities, and we reached out and we did this tarot thing, and it's like that's what the gods wanted. And I learned so much. I didn't even know too. All these years, I didn't know that my wife had once been a professional tarot reader, because she's like a very Orthodox Catholic, but she had this life where she would read tarot. And she even tells me the story. She went to get a job as a tarot reader with this company, and the lady said, "Oh, I don't think you know how to read tarot." And the lady said, "Okay, read tarot to me." And my wife whipped out her tarot and said, "Okay, my reading says your boyfriend's cheating on you." And she's like, "Oh yeah, let me go check." And then she called her lady's like, "I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me. You're hired."
Oh my Lord.
Wow. But I had no idea. I mean, she's got like all these occult books and tarot decks, and she was, and so she worked with this new deck. So if the synchronicities continue, yeah, we can talk after if you need help.
That's really cool. Definitely.
So awesome. And what I wanted to say too, and this is kind of a revelation that I had, because in our last show, we talked about obviously what you went through in 2016 when you got cancel cultured and all that. And I was thinking, well, now that I think about it, I don't think you were canceled because you were back then a Trump supporter. I honestly think it was because of your alchemy that you were canceled. I think the universe was trying to stop you, because as I talked to other guests, like we had Ola Wolny, who's talking about the hope of our culture is women and her alchemy, that's what's going to heal this universe. And obviously there's a force trying to destroy women, cut them off from the source, nature, their divinity and all that. And so I just think, I bet that's why you were truly canceled, the archons, because at the time it wasn't just the left, but the right. Both sides are terrible, but both sides went after you. And because I think unconsciously is because of you're too close to alchemy, you're too dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say like, yeah, I'm just so powerful and amazing. That's totally why. No, but I have something there, because I quite often wonder why that happened. And there are times even the far left that canceled me worked in collaboration with some of the far right that wanted to kind of also destroy me. And I'm just like, but if you're against my politics, how did you work with that person to try to take me down? It doesn't make sense. So there is something to that. And it's strange too, because like, I don't mean to sound like I started all this stuff, but I've really been into alchemy for a long time, since I was like a teenager, and I'm kind of old. So I'm an old mommy, and it's been a while. And I remember when I'm sure you guys can understand this too. When you first got into it, you kind of feel like a weirdo. Like people are just like, what is wrong with that? For like, you're a bit kooky, And now I see a lot of, I don't know if I like new age. I mean, new age started to become a thing, but then since like my canceling and all that, I've noticed people trying to kind of co-opt a lot of the like alchemy stuff. And I'm just like, what? Like, I was doing that and I was considered the weirdo. And now you guys are kind of trying to do the like aesthetics that I was trying to put out there, and it's getting more popular. And I don't know. I don't mean to be that person that's like into punk rock and then being like, no, they're so out.
That was cool.
Like I was doing it when it was cool. But I feel like that. So there's something to what you're saying. I feel that there's like something weird going on. And certainly what you're saying really resonates with me about what I spoke to you before the show and my book too, for my comic book. And there is going to be some sort of source out there that is an evil entity for my second comic book that does try to destroy the goodness, that is trying to destroy the alchemy, and a lot of things parallel in our real life. So I do feel that there's something to that, what you're saying, and I depict it in my artwork.
No, I'm definitely convinced it has to be that. And again, all women have this power. They've just not been taught, or they've forgotten this power. And that's how the world was in balance. And I think there are powers who want to make sure that women cannot tap into this power, this alchemy.
I agree on both sides too, because obviously you can see it from like being critical of the left, where they don't like the natural feminine kind of aspects of femininity, and they're just like, no, we can be like men and whatever, which is like, we're different, so there's that. But I feel the same thing on the right, because the right tend to kind of think a woman needs to be like submissive or a certain way that is just such a trope. And that's not really what the female is about. There's, the two sides of the tree of life, like the swaying back and forth. There's the power of the masculinity, but then there's the nurturing and they're equal, but they're just different sides, and you need them both, and they have both equal power. Mother Nature.
Exactly. I mean, in all these systems, I mean, you yourself to alchemy, you want to get to the ultimate hermaphrodite, where the equal energies balance each other to create God or no God.
Yeah, right? and that's something that I actually wanted to talk to. It's so interesting. I worked at the Daily Caller, and goodness, this is what pisses me off about politics. They were so stupid about it because at the time, I think Jordan Peterson's kind of like gone off his rocker, but at the time in like 2017, when he's like was really kind of doing a thing, and I don't know if you've seen some of his YouTube videos from back in like 2016, 2017, he had a lot of alchemy kind of things, and he was talking about archetypes and things like that, and a lot of his thumbnails had a lot of the imageries that we're familiar with. And I was in contact with doing an interview with him, but Daily Caller didn't want me to do it because I was just like, no, I want to talk to him about like alchemy and stuff. And they're like, no one's gonna understand this.
Like about politics,
Yeah, and they were like, no, but they wanted, that whole like gotcha thing, and not gotcha on him, but kind of just the clickbait stuff. And I'm not into that. I wanted the deeper conversations. And they're like, oh, no one's gonna understand that. I go, but if you watch his stuff, you do, and like you are into it. And what I wanted to specifically talk to him about, but since I never got the chance, I'm talking to you guys about it, so whatever, is their alchemical marriage and the hermaphrodite. And it's just in this age of where the left is trying to kind of push transgenderism or whatever. I mean, which is different than hermaphrodite, but they kind of like to blend that stuff together a little bit and be like, see, it is the ideal. It's the perfect, kind of thing. And I kind of wanted to ask Jordan Peterson and have that discussion about that kind of concept.
Yeah, if you just ask him about anima and animus, he would have given us a whole different picture of what's going on out there, which would have been helpful, useful, because we all have an anima animus, and we all got to, like you said, each one of us has to figure out where our energies are going to be and live our life.
Snake around the tree a bit. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it was, I mean, because even in the conservative movement, I think I saw you tweeting about it, but remember, I don't know what it was called, Bakegate or Cakegate.
Oh,
where
yeah.
There was that one where I forget, Isabella, that woman or that young lady was baking a cake, and the right freaked out because she had a tight shirt and big boobs, and it was this huge meltdown. I was like, that is divide and conquer and completely ridiculous. But I kept thinking, there's the alchemy, because the controversy was over a cake. Remember alchemy, the mixture of things.
Oh,
I think that's where the spiritual forces says we're going to drive everybody crazy, because the argument, don't you think, was just so silly? I
mean, I've been dealing with that kind of stuff for so long, especially with my artwork. People don't understand. They immediately jump to degenerate. And it's just, it blows my mind when it first started happening to me, because it was like, whoa, I thought we were championing beauty and, God, beauty and godliness, the combination of it. And it's just bizarre because the right also kind of, they fetishize like old artwork and sculptures and things like that, and cathedrals, and oh, look at this Bernini I've seen a million times posted, you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, but like they're also nude, and don't you understand the beauty? And it's not sexual. It's not about sex, and like that's what I don't understand, because when I see my artwork, like I don't sit there going like, yeah, sex, like it's just like
I'm gonna turn on all these men.
Like when I pull my tit out and my baby's like, crawling to it and excited, like it's just nature. It's my womanlyhood, like you say. And it doesn't scream sex to me. It just is just like, yeah, this is what the female archetype is. That's the sound.
Yeah, I think as somebody said, I don't know, I think was it Michael Malice said, conservatives are just liberals who drive the speed limit. They're basically all part of the same fundamentalist, oppressive system that's out there, and there's an illusion that there are two sides, but as you've experienced and that girl experienced, both sides are just as will go on their witch hunts and make sure that everybody is into this herd mentality. It's asinine. What do you think, Vince?
Both sides are equally oppressive to me. And I've never seen a bird fly on one wing. It's balance that we are missing. It's balance. That's the thing. I mean, and beauty is, in the eye of the beholder, and people need to allow it's freedom. People need to allow each other to have their own opinions, to be free, not to oppress people, not to hurt other people. If we only did that, have empathy with people, we'd be doing okay. But there's too much money and corruption in politics on both sides. Both sides. And also there's a oh God, where'd that soapbox come from? There's also, I figured out recently that it's really all about class wars. It's about the really rich and the really poor fighting over the spoils of civilization, and the really poor want to overthrow everything, and so that they get to be on top. And then the really rich want to keep their stuff. And meanwhile, the people that make everything happen are stuck in the middle. And, everybody's envying everybody else. And that's really what it's about. The whole globalist stuff,
Yeah. I mean, working in media, I realized, so after getting canceled on the left, I worked in media on the right. And so, if you could imagine losing my career, something that I'm passionate about, like being an artist, it's not like an office job. I'm still messed up about that. So that really, really hurt. So I just ended up going to the right, like fully. But then I started seeing how they function, and I'm just like, oh my God, they don't actually even care about the stuff that they're talking about and putting stuff out there. They just want the clicks. That's what it is. It's the money, it's the clicks, it's the attention. Something strange about like, and I don't mean fame as in like necessarily like Hollywood fame, because we can go on about Hollywood all day long. That's like, yeah, I get it. But even on the internet and just Twitter, YouTube, all of that, like there's just a strange evil about people that like want the fame. And same with politics. A lot of people that do politicians, it's a weird ego narcissism. It's like they want the power. There's something power and fame and attention that they want to hold. So it's strange. I think that's what they're after.
Yeah. The daily fight, the daily clickbait. So when you, for example, would do art, you would do your shows and your dances. What was your goal, for example? Because, I like to do the podcast. Of course, I like likes and nice comments. I like it, but my passion is obviously where I feel like I'm like, this is my destiny, is when I write. And I want people to discover about themselves and to be free and to, I guess, make the world a better place. I know it sounds
totally. That's
naive, but that's why I like to create art.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. My art, I consider myself like mixed media of sorts. Definitely a stage performer, because in New York City, it's live performances like are really big thing. It's like London and New York is very live performance, and I love theater. Like theater is really cool. The lights, the drama, like the effects that you can put on stage is just really, really cool. And seeing someone perform only a few feet away from you, like live, there's a different energy to that than seeing someone on like TV or like on a screen. And there's a certain magic to it. So it's like casting spells on people when you're performing live. They're all focused in on your energy. They're giving you their energy. They're all focusing on you. And what do you do with it? What do you do with the energy? Some people want to take it in and they want to consume it. And I would like to, feel it and then like reverberate it back. So that is like what I liked to do on stage, was definitely feel the energy, and I'm projecting it back to them. Like I would actively do that. But in the big grand scheme of things, whatever kind of medium I used for my art, whether it's photography, video, stage performing, whatever. I want to do music soon, when I get a fucking chance with this baby. The whole point was to spread kind of the knowledge of alchemy, you know, just interpret it in my way and create something with it. I mean, people in the 15th century or whatever, they like would make these lithographs and they would make books, or they would create their art the way that they can interpret alchemy the way that they do it. And you do it with how you do it. And I interpret it my way, and I like to do some avant-garde artwork and put it out that way. And it always represents something in alchemy.
Cool. Well, we hope you keep doing it, because again, you have that as your mission on this world. God didn't say you weren't going to get crushed, because that's what the world does when we find our bliss, as you would. Jordan Peterson is a Jungian, and so Joseph Campbell. So it's that idea. Your bliss is your mission, and doors will open. But unfortunately, as Jesus says in the Gospel of John, the world will also crush you for that, because people don't like it that others have found their bliss, and the world doesn't. The powers and principalities don't want this light to shine, so they will snuff it. But we can always get back to it and find it. So it just you just got to keep at it. And I tell myself that too on hard days or hard times when I don't think nothing seems to be work. I just got to keep at it. I know it sounds true, but
yeah, I mean, what else can you do? Otherwise, the dark forces kind of win, because there are times I get really low, but like, what can you do?
yeah. That is your mission, and you got to keep doing it, as they say. It's there's nothing better. It's where we find our freedom. So yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about alchemy. And also, again, we've done a few shows on alchemy, and I find it fascinating too, because as we did a show with Tobias Churton, and he talks about Zosimus of Panopolis, one of the great fathers of alchemy, and he was telling us that much of the first alchemical labs were by the Nag Hammadi library, where they found, the Gnostic Gospels, and that area was just suffused with magic and great traditional, or there was these alchemical laboratories. But Zosimus, he talks about his idea of alchemy in his mythology is that there was these rebellious angels, and they stole the technology from heaven. Again, we're getting into Watcher Nephilim stuff. And they came and they gave it to humanity with bad intentions or trickster intent. It was gonna do some bad. And Zosimus always said, no, this alchemy, maybe the angels stole it, these fallen angels, these archons, but it is from heaven. And if we use this alchemy right, we can become divine ourselves. So
yeah, there's so much to that. Yes, as far as the Nephilim go, that is kind of how I got into the concept of the Nephilim. And okay, so my whole take on the Nephilim thing and the RH-negative blood type is not unique. I'm sure you've heard this theory, and I just found it really interesting to use that kind of concept. Like I said, I always take real life and alchemy concepts, and that's how I get inspiration for my artwork. And I had I was inspired finding out like my blood type, and I'm just like, oh wait, what is going on with it? And then you find out that they don't really understand why we have these like missing protein, and like the other animals in nature, when they crossbreed, they have the same kind of issues with pregnancy and all that stuff. So I was like, this is weird. And I was young, and so I was looking into it, of course, through the alchemy side and the biblical side, and the old texts where they talk about the Nephilim and the angels procreating with the human race. And I'm just like, aha, that's where it is. And they brought, like you said, knowledge of alchemy, metallurgy, makeup, warfare, things like that. And I was just like, oh my God, so cool. This is so Lady Alchemy. Like, here's her backstory. There it is, and I just, ever since then, I've been using angel kind of symbolisms and things like that. It just things started to like make sense. And so yeah, I do agree with the bringing knowledge of alchemy in or whatever. Now, this is why I also had like an angel and demon kind of, I know that they're different things. It's or like fallen angel kind of aspect, maybe not demon. But I would call it angels and demons, the duality, because it's like, but wait, are they good or are they bad? And it was something that I've kind of had to learn myself, was that you choose to be like the good angel or bad angel. Like, there's no predestined, like, oh, well, this is where I come from, so I have to be bad, kind of thing. And that's kind of the amazing thing about free will, is that we get to choose our path of like, am I going to be a good angel or a bad angel? Like, it's the archetype, and they have the whole good angel, bad angel on your shoulder. It's reoccurring in these archetypes, but it was just an interesting way. And it was kind of also how alchemy taught me an interesting sideways way of my own Christianity, because I was raised Roman Catholic, and as a millennial American, you're just kind of like, whatever, like, church is boring kind of thing, and you're like, whatever. But then you learn the alchemy stuff, and you kind of sideways get back to it, and you're like, I kind of get it now from a different perspective. Cool, like, it makes sense. So yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily bad. And then I did a lot of research for my comic book too, because there was like a serpent character that my writer wrote in there. That was the main bad character. And I'm just like, yeah, but I was trying to make it make sense, because I had to go in and rework all the alchemy stuff. I was like, well, how does that make sense? Because the serpent isn't actually bad in alchemy. It represents knowledge, and that was
not to the Gnostics. He was the good guy.
Yeah. So I had to kind of make it work for me, and brought in kind of some of the mythology of the like Leviathan and like whatever. I can look it up, whatever I wrote in there. And ultimately the symbol of what that serpent character represented was the like knowledge. And I think that's kind of where, and there's a shift. So she dealt with this bad like serpent character, but like ultimately kind of like what happened to me in 2016, I am no longer like that same person that when I was running around New York City performing and like life was good, like my whole like life has shifted, and I have a different kind of perspective on it. And that's what that serpent character did. It's knowledge. It was, that the skin sheds, and you learn something from it. And is that always bad? Is that a bad thing? Even if it was a bad person that taught you something?
Exactly. It's hard to look at the big picture, right?
Yeah. Sorry if I'm rambling. I don't even like.
No. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the Watchers bring makeup, which I always find kind of interesting. Now, these days, I think they would bring makeup in Stanley cups and just hand them out. Have them fight over each other.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my Lord. It's funny how you like interject some of the like youthful things going on in the world. Like, you get it, what's going on. Like, I had to just ask my little sister, who's like 12 years younger than me. I was like, so is this a thing young people are doing?
Exactly.
What's the deal with these cups?
Yeah, I know. I've got to do some research. Yeah, I'm one of my daughters. I have a 25-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old daughter. So I get the millennial and the what's
the Zoomer? Are they Zoomers?
No, well, younger than what's
Alpha.
the next?
Alpha.
Yeah, she's Alpha. Yeah, the very different view on life and how they consume content and everything else. So.
Yeah.
They call my younger children call each other bro, and they call me bro. They call their mother bro. They love that term bro a lot. I realize so.
I realize.
But
I think maybe I am a millennial, and my husband likes to fight me on that because he's younger than me. And he insists, he was born in the 90s. He insists he's a millennial and I'm not. I was born in the 80s. but I am on the cusp of Gen X, and
Uh,
we would say dude. We said dude a lot. Do you remember that?
yes, yes, I still do. I still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, we said man in my generation. Hey
Yeah,
man, you know,
yeah, man, yeah.
man.
You're right. I know someone else about your age. He says man all the time. Yeah.
Yep. I'm a tricentennial personally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Plus, I'm from like New York, like Woodstock area, so I have a lot of old school hippies. They would say,
Oh
"Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man."
I'm from Jersey originally, not too far from there.
Yeah.
North Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, I know it.
Joyzy.
And so, what do you think about these tunnels in the Jewish neighborhoods? Have you heard that story?
Yeah.
Ooh, the bloody mattresses and everything. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I love how do I, how do I say things without like getting you banned or coming across a certain way or the can you say anything about those people? No, I mean I have like a respect for. So I mean there's Hebrew in my comic book because as you know, like a lot of magic and like the LBR ritual and you know a lot of those rituals they have Hebrew. A lot of alchemy. That's when I got into kind of like Hebrew stuff and
Yeah.
so
The
like
Kabbalah is awesome, and the
yeah,
Hasidic Jews are the one few Jews who still hold on to the Kabbalah. So,
that's true. Yeah, secular Jews aren't really into any of that stuff. So I mean, like, you know, I have my own respect for that knowledge and that kind of
yeah,
thing. But the Hasid, I'm just gonna say the Hasids are weird, man.
yeah, they're pretty hardcore. They are hardcore.
I don't know. They're like their
You
own.
have those in every religion. Every religion has their fundamentalists, messianic, apocalyptical,
They
side
do.
to it. It's just it's human religion. What are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
And they don't like outsiders. They kind of because I remember when I was I was really young and I used to take the train up and down from New York City to upstate the Hudson Valley. And I remember there was some Hasid guys on there and I tried talking to them because I was like, "Can you tell me about the Kabbalah?" Like, I
Yeah,
was
a
like,
woman talking to them.
he did not make eye contact. He looked to the side
No,
and he was just like, basically, like, I'm not there yet in my studies. I mean, it's not what he said in those words, but it was just, he didn't really have much to say. But I'm like, no, tell me something about Kabbalah. I was really eager. And I was like, that was a weird interaction. And then I found out that I'm not supposed to interact with them. And I'm like, oops.
no. No, they won't. Orthodox Jews, Hasidic Jews, yeah, they will not talk to a single woman or a woman alone. But
Yeah,
again, you can look at what's it in Christianity? What are the guys? The guys the Amish? We think they live in nature, but they have some very weird,
they're weird too.
oppressive rules too. I mean,
Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's the same thing with some of the anything when you're super repressed, you can kind of swing too far the other way. So like people think that these are, oh, they're like, you know, more pure than you, like you're burlesque and you know, like, oh, and I'm just like, well, you do realize some of them just like totally do all like meth and promiscuous even more than like I ever was in my lifetime and do whatever just because like they're so repressed they kind of swing the other way a bit. So
repression is always bad. It's gonna come out. It's
yeah. And I
the
mean
shadow.
there's a good amount of like discipline. Like they always say that about magic too, or I say magic, you know, with the K, the work, the great work is women's work and child's play. And it's because women's work is like repetitive, it's routine, and that's kind of like what a ritual is. It's ritualistic, every single, it's repetitive. You do it all the time, the same way, all over and over and over again. That's because, and the military does that. It's like get up, make your bed, like it's repetitive, and it's to instill something in you. Discipline is good, you know. Discipline is great, but then there's also the child's play, which is imaginative, and there's the creative and the imagination and that aspect to it.
It's a hard balance because, yeah, you should be disciplined. But I remember, is it Caitlin Johnstone? She's a writer who I like, and she does great poetry. But she said one time, the opposite of life is not death, it's habit. And it struck me because we can become robots and slaves to the
Mhm.
routine. But even though it's good, so sometimes, as you said, you've got to be a little childish and blow off your schedule. Don't turn on your alarm. But surprise yourself every day by going somewhere without planning it. So it is a hard balance because there were times in my life I would just get so disciplined, and then I'd wonder what
Really?
anxiety levels would go up. I was becoming unhappy. I was like, but then other times, if I took it to the extreme and I was just a bohemian, I just got just as unhappy too because I had no structure and nothing worked out.
Man, I'm bohemian all the way. Like I have absolutely zero structure, and I think that's part of my issue with baby, trying to get him to sleep properly.
Yeah, my wife, she didn't, with the last three, all she does is for everything, she nurses them, teething. I'm going to nurse you. Sleep, I'm going to nurse you. There's no schedule. No, there were the babies, all three of them slept with us in the bed, and it was fine. It was just a different form of life.
Okay, good, because that's like my life. My life
Yeah, it's
has been like structure more, but we definitely. I'm the opposite of what you just said about yourself with all that routine. I don't think I've ever been that way. I'm just super artist weirdo. Like, do not like routine. Ugh. And I had that
but if
off.
you have a creative project, how do you finish it? You just when you work on it,
When
you work on it.
inspiration strikes, I
Of
work on.
course.
I mean, inspiration used to come in the form of, smoking, but I haven't done that in a long time.
Right. Just got to do what you got to do. And
Yeah.
what about, and when you started learning about alchemy, did you ever go back to the Catholic Mass and go, holy crap, they're doing magic, they're doing alchemy at the
Yeah.
Mass, and I didn't even notice it all my life? I mean, it
Yeah.
is the ultimate alchemy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at the transmutation of the body and blood of Christ. And when I'll get people also with the far right situation, and they kind of freak out about the alchemy and try to act like I'm like, I've never seen in any of my studies anything about anything bad. It's always been the light, God, Jesus. It's always the light, the light, the light. I've never seen anything kind of going down a dark path from my studies. So I don't know what they're on about when they do that. And I don't know if you've seen it, my picture that I did a self-portrait with the hand of the philosophers, where I have my hand up, and I'll send it to
No,
you. Yeah. So it's, the hand of the philosophers, where it's like the hand and then there's like
yeah.
things on it. And I did that, and people are like, the fish on the hand, what is that? Some sort of Podesta thing? And oh, this is demonic, this is evil. I go, how is it evil? There's literally angels behind me and the sun, and it's like, oh, and I'm like, there's nothing demonic about this. A lantern on my hand, that means like the light, the lantern is the, like,
Yeah. Pizzagate Martina, I see.
I don't know what you're on about. How does anything in here like resonate as demonic to you, like at all? There's literally cherubs above my head. Don't know what you're on about. So I get that kind of thing with it, and I have to kind of explain, like, hello, Mass is like the three Magi's going to Jesus's birth. The three Magi's, they were Zoroastrian priests. They were Gnostic priests. And they were bringing these kind of ritualistic things to them, the frankincense and myrrh and all that. And Mass itself is a ritual. Like, hello, ritual Mass. I mean, am I the only one that's heard ritual Mass? Like, that's what we called it. Like,
Yeah.
a ritual. They've got incense and robes and the drama and
Sure, they don't call it that, but sure, it's a ritual. You bet.
Yeah.
Very ritual. And all the different colors for the seasons. I always thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely I look at my religion the way I was raised from a different lens, but I think it's really cool. I like it.
Plus, alchemy was never seen as like satanic. Thomas Aquinas practiced alchemy. His master or his teacher, Alberto Magnus, practiced alchemy and astrology and magic. I mean, it was fine for the church. I mean, Isaac Newton was a big alchemist, and the Church of England wasn't trying to burn. Queen Elizabeth practiced a little alchemy with John Dee because it was, again, it was an honorable science and pursuit back in the day.
Well, I had a friend that said, unless you stop the alchemy stuff nonsense, I can't be friends with you. And she said there was like some papal ban on alchemy back in like God knows when, like 1800s. I don't know. Some before that, I don't know, 1600s, something crazy. And I was like, that's really like outdated, first of all. Second of all, I don't really give a shit about the Pope. I'm Catholic. Don't care what the popes have to say.
Yeah, I never knew about it, but yeah, I don't think Francis is like in his bed, like, oh, Martina's doing alchemy. How can I gotta stop. I'm gonna send the cardinals. Yeah, I'm gonna send the cardinals to stop her. Oh my God, her soul. But
well, it's not against anybody, right? People don't say, oh, I'm going to do an alchemical thing and I'll get that guy. Nobody's doing that, right? I mean, you can make an argument for dark witchcraft or something, putting curses on people. But since when did alchemists ever hurt anybody?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing. Oh, okay. So this was something she said. It was that we are not meant to know the mysteries of the universe, that we need to just have blind faith.
So God gave us a brain not to use it. Okay.
And something that you said earlier about the Nephilim bringing certain things to the humans is that there's a concept that trying to become like God is bad. No. But I think we all have the divine spark, within us. And it is part of alchemy to kind of nourish that and let that kind of flame show, because people kind of put that flame out. And I think that's what's bad.
Yeah, God, it doesn't make any sense. Even like you look at one of the first popes, Pope Anastasius, who hated the Gnostics with a passion, and he was a big book banner. He himself said Jesus became man so that man could become God. He simplified the whole Catholic theology in that simple thing. So that's why we drink his blood and his flesh, right, Martina? So we can become like him.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's weird. I don't know. People have their interpretations, and that was kind of what I was faced with a friend, unfortunately.
Oh, terrible. Mm-hmm. I've never had anybody give me that ultimatum. You, Vance?
I'm sorry, what's that? Which ultimatum?
A friend that might have said, I don't like your theology, you either change or we're no longer friends or family or
no, I stayed away from people that would say things like that to me.
She was like a devout Catholic, nice girl, I miss her, she's friends, but she was just like, no more alchemy. I was like, you met me as Lady Alchemy, like you can't.
Yeah, you're not closed about what you do and what you believe in.
One of the biggest problems is that these people think they know what quote unquote God is. They really do. And I claim that the majority of them are still looking at that big old man on the throne, the beard and all that, or, Saturn in Greek mythology, or Zeus, or they personify and therefore concentrate the idea of God into a person. Like a person knows everything, it can do everything. I mean, that's and if you think about that hard enough, it goes away and you start, getting closer to the real truth. And people are afraid that you'll be more powerful than they are, if you do something. And it even starts like in school, the kids that study harder are ridiculed by the kids that don't, because they're afraid that these kids will be more powerful and get more things than them. It's like I said before, it's the have-nots, wanting to get the stuff that people have, and they don't want people to have things that they don't have.
Yeah, I agree. It's like that. What do they say about God? Carl Sagan had a really good interpretation of something like that, where it was, like the flatlands or something.
The flatland, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just we're not really able to comprehend. Oh, well, he was talking about different dimensions, but to me, that was an explanation of God. I think God is like a different dimension that we just cannot, like, we cannot comprehend it. It's incomprehensible, and that is actually in the Hebrew kind of perspective. Also, the movie Pi, the movie Pi, they talk about it, the 26-digit.
Oh, we puts a drill in his head.
Yeah,
On the end.
that
Ah.
one. There's like some magical 26-digit, and it's the same thing in like the Hebrew thing, and they have the name of God in different ways. And the 26-digit one was like the unsayable, unknowable. Like it's just you can't say it, can't comprehend it. It's just like the magical one.
Yeah, he runs into some Kabbalists too who want his stuff.
Yeah. But they have tunnels.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a funny thing. All religions have tunnels. The Vatican, I'm sure, a lot of mosques. And I'm sorry, but if I once I own a house, if I'm somewhere, I'm building tunnels.
Totally digging tunnels.
I want a safety. I want to escape. I want somewhere to hide my stuff. I'm digging tunnels.
I'm just shocked in New York City that that's even possible, because to me, everything seems so hollow. There's so many layers underneath the ground in New York. It's like, how did you?
Why does it just collapse into a big sinkhole, right?
Crazy. Like the subway.
They're there though.
Wow. They say that might happen because there's so much. There is tunnels and pipes underneath New York that 25% of water in New York gets wasted, and the pipes are so deep in the tunnels you can't get to them because you'd have to, you can't dig that far down with all that city. And New York is becoming so there's so much waste with water, electricity, gas that at some point it would be easier to destroy the city and build a new one. It'd be cheaper.
Oh my Lord. No, I love my Art Deco city.
Here comes the World Economic Forum. New York has too big of a carbon footprint. Get rid of it.
Odds and bugs for everybody, including Martina.
No, I'm going to run away upstate then.
And two, do you ever find it like when you talk to Catholic friends and they're like, oh, what's this Book of Enoch, Watchers, Nephilim stuff? But that was a prevalent view in ancient Christian times. I mean, the Book of Jude, Jesus quotes the Book of Enoch, and the Gnostic texts support this. The Jewish texts support this. I mean, even I think it's in Corinthians where you have Paul in one part, he's talking about how women should cover their faces in church. And people are like, oh, he's being misogynistic. He wasn't. He was saying when women start praying and orating in church, it attracts the watchers. I guess it was that, and if not, women will get attacked after church or during church, and you'll get Nephilim. So women should cover their faces so that the watchers don't get aroused. Or
I was going to say,
yeah, well, they want their power, so they can. It's also their power and create their hybrid.
The women of the.
Yeah, so even Paul knew about the Watchers and the Nephilim in the first century. It was a common knowledge, and it got suppressed by all the religions.
Hey, maybe that's where the nuns wear habits and the Muslims wear the veils, right? To shield the power there.
Could be. That's how it started.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to look back into all that stuff again, especially for my work in the comic book and things. It's nice to dig deep back into it, because I haven't really looked at that stuff in a while. But it is all really fascinating, and it's all interconnected, and there's far more. I think the books that were rejected from the official canon are actually really interesting, like far more interesting. I mean, I don't know if that's blasphemous for me to say, but I think they're really interesting, like more so than the regular stuff.
More fun.
Yeah.
So tell us about Lady Alchemy for those who are not familiar with your comic book.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was Lady Alchemy as a performer, and I do various, like I said, mixed media art. It was just I used myself as the canvas for creating different alchemical concepts and bringing them to stage. Like I said, I worked a lot with the angel kind of demon aspect of that. And then I have a performance art piece that I did called Negretto. And that's it's the first phase of the alchemical process. And a lot of my stuff, even if you're not into alchemy and you don't know about it, people tend to be very moved by it. They think it's stunning or interesting, or they emotionally are moved by it, or what have you. And Negretto would be, because you come face to face with your demons, and it's very kind of like shocking. So it's just kind of like, what? What just happened? And that's what it's meant to do. And that's what performance art is, right? And it instills that kind of concept within the viewer. So that's the kind of stuff that I would do. But then when I got canceled and I found it really hard, I was working full time. I was Lady Alchemy. That was paying my bills. That was my life. Mm-hmm. So when I got canceled, my agents and the theater that I worked at, it's called The Box, and it's basically like Studio 54 today, that was, and like today's kind of aspect, where it's like this theater and it's / nightclub, and they would have like, nightclub status, and then throughout the night the curtain would open and performances would happen, and I would do my angel act and things like that there. It was really, really cool. It's really hard to get into. Celebrities there like every night. It was really cool. I loved it. And again, that was my way of putting alchemy out there to the masses. It's really, really fun stuff. But since I got canceled and I lost everything, and which included my income and everything, I was just wanted to keep Lady Alchemy alive somehow. And I always viewed her as a comic book character. So I was a child of the 90s, and I just remember Witchblade, Dark Child, Gen 13, just these like babes in comics. And then there was like a thing going on the internet where like there was like a weird political kind of clash going on in the comics industry too, because they were like taking all of these characters, either like making them Muslim or, making classic ones like beautiful women frumpy and lesbian looking, and like, doing all these things where they're like, what are you guys doing to these beloved characters? What are we doing? Or like making Green Lantern gay or something. And there's like having a gay wedding where not that it matters. I mean, Rainmaker in Gen 13 was a lesbian. Who cares? But she was hot, So it was just, they were doing weird things. So there was a lot of fans and people that were just like against that. And then there was like people making comics and funding it through Indiegogo and all that. And I was like, oh my God, I have the opportunity to keep Lady Alchemy alive in a different medium. And B, it was something I've always wanted to do, which was, she's a performer running around New York City in costumes. New York City's like Gotham City, and she has powers of alchemy with this Nephilim blood backstory. Like, come on, it's a comic book character, So I got it funded, and I made the comic book, and I had my own issues with that. Some demons, I'll tell you. But anyway, it ended up being completed, and that's why I also have to do the tarot cards, because that was kind of part of like a perk package that I was offering. So now I'm like in the process of thinking about completing that. But I'm also in the process of, now it's exciting to think about book 2, because I'm just like, oh my God, new stuff happened in my life, and I can portray it in a comic book way this way, and then there's new demons to deal with, and it's really fun.
And the tarot is going to be, is it alchemy themed or Lady Alchemy themed?
That's a good question. It's something that I've been toying with. I mean, I don't think they all necessarily work for Lady Alchemy, because there's ones that are masculine, there's the Emperor, there's
right.
Ones that are, what is it, strength? I think that's that's a lion. Well, I mean, you can do the green lion devouring the sun or something. I don't know. So there's aspects that don't necessarily like work for Lady Alchemy, but I feel like some of the more feminine archetype ones can, and I definitely have some imageries that can resonate for some of the major arcana cards. So I don't know. That's something that I like. Maybe we can talk about how you kind of visualized it and the concept of it. I've never really been a fan of like the photography tarots. I always like the art ones.
Right.
So I'm just like, oh my God, do I do my photography? But my photography kind of looks really avant-garde, like it's art. So maybe it will work, but maybe I should just get an artist and do a little bit more alchemy themed. But then I was also looking at the Salvador Dali ones and seeing how I can do it in a surrealist way as well. Because I really like the avant-garde. So I was like, oh, the Dali ones are interesting because it blends art in a like art, like surrealist art kind of way with the alchemy. So I don't know, I'm brainstorming.
Yeah, there's a lot out there right now. I mean, the one reason we did it too is because there wasn't any decent Gnostic tarot. I think there was one, and I don't know, I'm not good with art like you, but my wife was like, "Oh, this one's terrible." It had, she was like, we'll do a Gnostic one," and also too, again, the friend who had an idea, he's like, "Oh yeah, the tarot business is booming."
What?
Because it's, yeah, and I think in a few years it's going to go up to, I think it's 1 billion worldwide. It's going to go to 4 billion. And a
What?
lot of it, yes, and a lot of it is, as we've talked, is that women are tired of the old kind of linear world that we live in, and how the world has let them down. So women are really going into astrology, tarot. I mean, they're going into these ancient traditions, these
Mhm.
image magic based divinatory traditions, and they're really embracing it. And I
Mhm.
think it's a positive thing, because that's where, again, a woman's alchemical power will come. It's like, that's how women can change reality, bend reality. So they don't have to compete in the linear solar world of the men.
True.
So tarot is certainly one way.
Interesting. I mean, that's actually exciting to hear because I just thought that this tarot project was just going to be a hole for me and I have to just fulfill it. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I've never wanted to have any of my work, even when I was in school, in university, and we had to write a paper on something. I studied abroad in China and we had to write a 10-page paper as like our kind of final grading piece. And it was like, I'm not just going to shit out a 10-page paper. I was like, I'm going to look up and see if there's Chinese alchemy.
Yeah,
And I did
yeah.
some research and I was looking into all of that stuff and the I call it, is it Cinnabon? No, it's like Cinnabar. So the Cinnabar and all that stuff. It was a long time ago. And I was like, I'm not going to do anything just for the sake of I have to get it done. Like it's always going to have to resonate with me and I'd be proud of it. So yeah, the tarot is now the next thing that I've been like, okay, let's do this, not because I have to, but because like I'm excited about it.
Yeah, something you should look into too is now, as AI gets better and better, even AI movies and motion graphics are getting pretty cool. I play with it too, like on Caliber. You get a video of, let's say, my daughter, and she's having breakfast, and I'll upload the image and say, make it into an anime. And she does this and that with the cat, and it does a good job. And I get like a little movie. She gets embarrassed, like, Dad, I don't want to be that. But I can create these very surreal and cool movies with some AI. So that's something you could look into too.
Yeah, I'm anti-AI, so
Are you? That's
yeah.
another gift of the Watchers. That's from.
I could see that actually. Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
mean, just as an artist, it gets I mean, it's a double-edged sword. My husband's a
Oh,
writer, so it's bad for his business because now people can just AI shit. And then as an artist, it's also like scary because their jobs are going to be obsolete if we just all do it on AI. But I understand it's exciting to create with it and experiment. And there are times where I think it's useful for creating, helping with ideas, and it kind of sketches out an idea for something. Like you
yeah.
could
A
have,
good assistant. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So,
But the art is always soulless. You can tell real
right,
art from AI art. I don't think
right.
you could match that. So
And I mean, it's been difficult because I like to retweet other artists, and there's one guy that it's just like he was really really amazing, but I had to like ask him, is it AI? And he was like, no, and I'm like, Okay, I just have to ask. And now I see a lot of his things say no AI, no AI, because it looks like kind of the really like dreamy and like waviness of it, and just the trippy kind of AI art that it looks cool. And so I want to promote people, but I just want to make sure that I'm promoting an actual artist, not like someone typing something in on a computer. And then with my photography, I like to do my photography with a lot of post work, frankly, in Photoshop, and I do so in a way to kind of make it look very painterly, and I'm a mixed media artist, so I'll do the photography aspect, and then I'll load it into the computer, and no AI, no filtering. I actually know the programs and have to run the different layers and understand and have my technique and do things that I do to kind of turn it into a unique art piece on its own. And I've had someone on Twitter be like, "This looks like AI," and I'm like, "It's not AI. I did so much work. God damn it! I got my niece all dressed up. I took the camera out, did the right settings. I had to edit it. I had to go and do the Photoshop. Like, not AI." But I understand its usefulness. I do.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's fire from the gods, a double-edged sword. It can burn you and it can help you. And it's going to be the age-old question when you bring in new technology. As I telling people, I'm sure there was a time when there was an oral tradition and some guy came, "Hey, we can write our stuff down on the wall, or we can use this scroll papyrus." Yeah, and people are like, "Oh no, we'll lose our power if our oral technology is what keeps us alive." And maybe they were right, but I'm glad stuff got put on paper,
Yeah,
just like
I
I'm glad
mean,
the stuff on hard drives.
yeah, I mean, I think there can be usefulness to it. For example, taking images and video in particular, which is difficult to do, and upscaling the resolution and making it actually a clearer picture, making it a better picture. There was, I think, the technology used for the latest Beatles track, because there was an old John Lennon song that he kind of dabbled around with the piano, but they could never separate the piano from his voice, and they just recently were able to do. So yeah, like there's some awesome stuff we can do with technology for sure.
I wonder if there'll ever be high AI, so you take an AI and you feed it the equivalent of, hallucinogens and it starts tripping. And then it creates the art, it creates the weird Salvador Dali-like art or something.
That's the kind of AI art I do like, is when it looks really trippy.
I'll tell you what, it already hallucinates, I had a problem with Excel today that I asked one of the AIs that I use about, and it completely made up this function. Yes, all you have to do is do this function. And it was like, it made it up out of what sounded reasonable, but it was totally false. And so I tried it and I said, "This isn't working." And it kept on. I said, "Nope." I tried it and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fallible and I'm always developing."
Really? See, I've never played around with it, but my husband says the same thing about the writing. Like it can do a good job for the most part, but there are times where you see things in it, you're like, that didn't make sense. That was weirdly worded, or like you
well, similar to people, right? People go off the rails sometimes. Everything goes off the rails. If it does, this goes off the rails.
The whole world is going off the rails. You're out of order. They're out of order. The AI's out of order. The whole court's out of order. Al Pacino. Yeah, my terrible job at Al Pacino. What are you going to do? So awesome. Any questions from the audience? I think I saw a couple of super chats.
We got, let's see. Well, the Ginger Menace wanted to lay some love on you here.
Aww.
And so there she is.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Complete with picture. Thank you, the Ginger Menace.
Thank you.
And Chester has supporting the show as usual. So thank you as always, Chester. He's always here to support us. Love it. Love it. And I didn't see any questions though. No questions.
No, well, Chester, thanks. Sorry about the Dallas Cowboys. I hope you've recovered. So I'm happy that the Packers got knocked out, so I can sleep well at night, and I don't care about the rest of the season now. Guilty pleasures here. Well, yeah. Anything else you want to share with us, Martina, before we wrap it up? Want to make sure if there's anything you got going. Of course, we'd love to have you back in time. Hopefully.
Yeah, you know what? It would be nice to kind of do something more regularly than 4 years. So let's do something, and we can really have some in-depth conversation. I mean, I hope it was riveting for people listening. But I think we can have some really cool conversations about alchemy, Gnostic stuff.
Yeah, you should do. I would love it if you brought one of your art presentations here. We could go. I don't know what kind of art, demonic art, angelic art throughout it, something really esoteric or something like that, something nice and visual, and just chat about that.
All right, yeah, maybe next time. So the thing is, I did the Negretto piece like 10 years ago, and then my life kind of went in disarray. I was living Negretto.
That's
So
great. I love it. For the audience, you got to see it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
I go back and I love that, and I love your Nephilim. I know there's 2 versions. One you did in LA, and another one.
And so maybe we can kind of bring that up and talk about it. And I mean, it's set up so that I have obviously the other phases of the alchemical processes to do. Oh, Daniel, hi, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. And Zephyr, I love the name Zephyr. It's a gentle breeze coming from the west.
It
is. And hey Jay. So there's like all the other phases of the alchemical process, and like I said, once I get a chance with like babies sorted and maybe have a babysitter or something, I can start thinking about the next phases. And it just they're great topics to even discuss, because like I said, the performance art pieces are kind of standalone, but with someone that has the knowledge like you guys to chat about them, it could be really great. Like the young kind of psychological aspects of the phases to the symbolisms and the visuals of each one. Like, it's lots to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. You let us know, and we will make time for you. Because let's not wait till the next. I don't want to say the P word to break out. YouTube gets weird. Yeah, you can say all these other things, but you can't talk about that.
I thought you were going to say age. Let's not wait for the next age.
Yeah, the next age after the Kali Yuga. Yeah, at this rate, hopefully there'll be humanity. We'll be replaced by our insect overlords, ape overlords, or AI overlords. So,
yep,
not worried. Awesome. Well, for the audience, thank you for your support. And I saw some good conversations in the chat in the corner of my eye.
Good group tonight.
Good.
So always a great group. Big turnout, but we better wrap it up. I've got actually, speaking of the life of the family, I have to run to the store before they close, because I was informed by my wife that there's bags of potatoes that are on sale. And in this economy, it's like, it's going to go on sale. I got to get these 5-pound bag of potatoes for less than $2. It's like, whoa, you're going to go hoard.
Get those potatoes.
You're on a mission for spuds.
Yeah, finally. My Irish blood is good for something.
You're going to be a spud boy now. Devo would be proud.
All right. Yeah, I can hear baby crying too. So this perfect time.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Vance, thanks for keeping us company.
Oh, it's always a lot of fun, and fun being with the guys in the chat room a little bit. And Martina, always fun being with you.
You too.
So good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Get to the Bambino, and we will talk soon. Take care, and thanks, everybody. Good night.
Bye-bye.